plenty of breath. Bend the knees, come through. Inhale. Exhale. Come down, take the hands back. Now engage from deep in the hip sockets with an external spiral in both sides so that you feel the sitting bones drawing toward one another. And that'll help you to connect with the aponic energy in the center of the pelvis. And then you're going to counter that by pressing through the roots of the big toes. And this will create a line of sensation that goes from the roots of the big toes and wraps around the outside of the leg and then goes up into the pelvic floor so that you feel a sense of the prana gathering at the base of the pelvis and rising up through the midline. And then you'll press the heels down into the floor just enough to tone the backs of the legs, which is an aponic action, and you'll counter that by drawing the knees up toward the waistline, which is a more pranic action. And with all four of those actions, the legs will be very strongly engaged, and you'll feel that spontaneously there's a sense of hollowing out in the front of the pelvis. So it's this Uddiyana Bandha pattern arising spontaneously. And then you drop the chin down and you gaze down toward the center of the heart. The hands can be just gently touching the floor very lightly. The collarbones are very naturally rolled back. And you take deep rhythmic breath. As you inhale, you can visualize the breath coming from the arches of the feet, spiraling around the legs and rising through the pelvic floor and up to the heart. As the inhale crests, it radiates. You can feel it ascending even further, perhaps penetrating the soft palate, which widens and releases, and continuing on through the crown of the head, and perhaps curling from above the crown like the hood of a cobra back into the heart. And after 5 breaths or so there, you can inhale and lift the chin. And exhale. Paschimottanasana. Catch the big toes with first 2 fingers and thumb on that exhale. And then you're going to keep all those 4 actions in the legs. So the external rotation from deep in the pelvis that draws the sitting bones toward one another, countered by pressing through the roots of the big toes, which creates an internal spiral in the lower leg. Pressing the heels down into the floor just enough to keep the backs of the legs engaged, and the knees lifting toward the waist to balance. And then as you inhale, you drop the sitting bones down, hollow way out underneath the belly. Lift the chin and lift the gaze so you're looking up at 45 degrees, and then keep the chin up and keep the gaze up as you start to exhale, pulling forward with the arms, letting the elbows go out, and laying the spine down until the gaze drops toward the big toes. As you start the inhale, you can strengthen all of those aponic elements, letting the sitting bones maybe drop even more, hollowing out in the front of the belly, but lifting the heart, rolling the collarbones back at the top of the inhale, and exhale going down. Then you continue with those gentle undulations in the spine, so that they draw you further and further into the form with each cycle of breath. If it's uncomfortable for you to look toward the toes, you can drop the head down and reach through the crown of the head, or maybe keeping the gaze and looking up, still in the direction of the big toes, even with the head dropped. So after 5 breaths or so, press the heels more strongly into the floor, hollow out underneath the belly, roll the breath up the front of the spine, lift the chin and look up. And then we can move into either B position, in which we'll have the thumbs just underneath the knuckle of the big toes, with the hands to the outsides of the feet, pulling back, or if it's comfortable, you can reach all the way beyond and clasp one hand or one wrist with the opposite hand. Then again, inhale, find that same sense of hollowness and lift. Exhale, going down with the same basic waving pattern. Dropping the head if you like. Keep using the arms to pull the spine long. And after 5 breaths or so, inhale, roll the spine, lift the chin and gaze, and exhale, release. Take the hands down, cross one foot over the other. Inhale, lift up. And exhale to Chatwari. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. And exhale back, Adho Mukha. Now, a quick note on the vinyasa of coming back. When you cross the feet, if you can't manage to lift all the way up into Lolasana like I just did, you'll simply roll over the fronts of the feet, take the hands down out in front of you, then lift your hips somewhat. Don't straighten the legs completely, but instead squeeze the knees toward the chest, let the coccyx be heavy, roll the pubic bone up toward the navel so the core is strongly engaged. Press the hands into the floor and make your feet as light as possible. Maybe you can eventually lift them, maybe not. If not, just jump back as you exhale and lower to Chaturanga. Inhale, wave up, and exhale, go back.